Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
It's good to be here.
Well, we go back, 10 years at least now.
Yeah.
And we've seen some amazing things happen around the earth in worship and praise, and particularly out of Australia and with Hillsongs from Christian Life Centre, which is the church you're from.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you do now in the church over there?
It's a very dynamic organisation, our church. I mean, most people would probably know it as Hillsongs Australia, but the actual name of our church is called Hills Christian Life Centre. And
Pastored by Brian Houston.
Pastored by Brian Houston, who's a great leader. He's really had a gift on his life for leadership and really has an anointing for just taking the church to places that it's never been before. He's built a significant church in our country, and we really appreciate his leadership as a senior pastor, and he's also a very good friend of ours. So it's just great to be in that working there at church. So
you've been there 13 years now, haven't you?
Yeah, Darlene and I, we moved there. It was quite an unusual story. The fact that how we got to Hills was we were very involved in another church in our country, quite a long way away from Sydney. And we were ministering at a church in Sydney, and visiting that night previously to us being there, I felt that we should be in Sydney. That's really where God wanted us to be. And Darlene just didn't want anything to do with that idea whatsoever. And that night we had literally prayed in our quiet time in the bedroom, saying, God, if you want us to come to Sydney, you're going to have to show us, when to come and what's going to happen and how it's going to plan out. And I'm thinking, something's going to happen in the next 6 months. And Darlene's thinking, well, maybe 5 or 7 years' time, something might happen. And the next day we were in the service and we were ministered in the music and the worship. And then the preacher got up to preach. And he stopped halfway through his message and said, look, I just can't go on any further. And he pointed to us two in the crowd and said, stand up. He said, now, whatever you prayed last night, the time is right now.
Couldn't get more specific than that.
Exactly.
Destiny.
Totally, and it was literally only a matter of 6 weeks from that day that we were living in Sydney and being involved in Hillsong Church there, and since then God has literally just blessed our lives and just taken it to the furthest degree that we could have ever hoped or dreamed.
And you're running the whole media side of
that's what I do.
Hills Christian Life Centre.
So we have we produce a weekly program with Brian Houston called Life is for Living, which is on Channel 7 here. And that also goes to 27 nations around the world, nationwide in Australia and New Zealand, and across the United States and into South Africa. And that's really having a significant impact. We're just amazed by the response that gets, and the letters that it's just so encouraging from the people, that they just really just literally
lives are changed.
Yeah, they just hang on for that, and we just feel that's just such an important ministry that we do. It's
a time now for the creative media to be used, isn't it?
Oh, totally. It's, we've always felt challenged, I suppose, and that's, in essence, I suppose, how Hillsong Conference started. Some people may have heard of that, that we always felt that the church struggled to bring new and innovative tools to preach the gospel. And Hillsong Conference really started, as you're aware, that you were there in those early days.
That's right.
That it really, I suppose, it was the gathering of the mates. You know what I mean?
It was back then, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, you do that. You do that workshop. And,
exactly.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. It was like that, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, many people would probably laugh now, but Darlene used to do the registrations, and she'd be sitting there saying, well, who are you, and write the name in, and then at lunchtime I sent her down the road to pick up the sandwiches for all the delegates. And
So you serve and you're faithful, and who knows, the whole world could be at your feet. And that's what's happened, isn't it?
Oh, totally.
Hillsongs has become such it's like a catalyst for fresh things in Australia. People from all over the world go. And it's becoming a catalyst for something that's quite prophetic in the nations, don't you think?
Oh, it just seems that God has anointed this, to use probably, I don't like using this word, but contemporary worship, as a tool to really just drive the church to another whole level. And not just the church, but I think people's thinking, to expand that and broaden that, and to see what other tools there are, the internet, the multimedia, television, what a fantastic medium to be actually transferring our message to the broader people out there.
You can look at it as we've got all these creative media tools that God's given us, really.
Yeah, totally.
Because they're all communication tools, aren't they?
That's all.
And music is obviously a vital, powerful communication tool, which is a main centre of Hillsongs. But Hillsongs is quite broad, isn't it?
It is. It's a very broad, and people, primarily they know us as shout to the Lord. They know it as Darlene. They know it as a live, energetic praise and worship music. But our ministry is really local church, I suppose. That's what it comes out of. Yeah. And people serving in a local church, really getting behind their pastor.
Day-to-day things.
Day to day, every day. I mean,
well, there was Darlene just serving. She probably never even dreamt that what she's doing now would happen.
No, totally. I mean, it's a humbling thing. I mean, we get the opportunity to minister and to travel to different countries, and to be honest, often we'd be in the hotel at night, almost in tears, just thinking, isn't this just bizarre that it's not a little church, but a church on the other side of the world in Sydney, Australia, like on the other side of, it could be the universe for that matter of fact, because it's so far to travel there, that is using it to literally, touch people's hearts and lives around the world. And it's just an awesome opportunity, and we really feel privileged that has happened, and don't take that lightly at all.